Have you ever sat and thought to yourself, I really want to invest in vitamin infusions. I really want to look into IV therapy because I want more energy. I want clearer skin. And what's wrong with getting extra vitamins into your body? I know I did, and I'm happy I didn't.
Yes, it's true what you've heard. You can lighten and brighten your skin through IV therapy. So in this bag here, I have glutathione and I have vitamin C. Glutathione is an antioxidant and we combine it with a vitamin to enhance your skin. It's good for your skin, hair and nails. People know glutathione for its quite impressive features to suppress melanin. If you take glutathione in such high doses or quite frequently, it can lighten your skin.
So how often would it be advisable to do an IV drip? So for the general healthy person, we typically recommend 1 or 2 IV drips a month. The options for that are available through a membership here at the Drip Bar. We have a maintained membership, which is 1 drip per month, and an improved membership, which is 2 drips per month. These provide you with both IV drips as well as B12 injections, as well as some sauna.
So
and at that point, you had what symptoms?
Oh, my skin was bursting open. So this is what happened. Within 48 hours, where I was injected started blowing up like these nodules, this like very red inflamed tissue. And then it started hardening and hardening and hardening. Then came like this burning sensation. So I would actually feel like this throbbing and then kind of like contractions because my skin was literally preparing to open. And so it was like the thinning of the skin and spreading. It was like fire throughout my body. It was absolutely excruciating.
Ever been to an IV hydration place, otherwise known as a drip bar? If so, I'm sorry to tell you that you have been scammed.
Everybody, I am the Mademoiselle and this is my channel, and as you guys can tell by the intro as well as the title, today we're going to be talking about vitamin infusions or IV drips, med spas, things of the such, right? So let me just say straight up, if you're someone that's already doing this and you're seeing the benefits and your medical provider has no problem with it, please shut the fuck up and keep doing it, okay? I don't care. I genuinely don't care if that's really what you want to do. This video serves as educational and awareness purposes, okay? I do not want to see anyone sitting here writing paragraphs about how this thing saved their life and whatever. This is for that percentage of people, which, according to my research, 99% of people who do not need this, okay, but are probably going to do this and either throw their money away or genuinely get themselves hurt. Also, we are specifically talking about vitamin infusions, okay? Now, I'm going to use a couple of terms interchangeably, but understand for the rest of this video, we're talking about vitamin infusions, from B12 to iron to vitamin C to everything else under the sun that a lot of people have been injecting into themselves and unfortunately getting hurt. So let's just back it up a little bit. If you guys are not aware on what exactly IV vitamin infusion therapy is, it is the practice of delivering vitamins and minerals into your veins peripherally, this word right here. Oftentimes it's in your hand or in your arm, but the general gist is when you get these vitamins infused into you, you feel a lot better, you'll feel more energy, and whatever it is that you're getting injected is more than likely going to help you in one way or another. A lot of times you'll see a lot of med spas do this, and most of the time there are different cocktails that are tailored to you and your specific needs. You can get this service at a drip bar, med spa, concierge nurses, regular spas, depending. There's a lot of different places that do this. Sessions are about 30 to 60 minutes and can range from $70 to the highest I saw was like $800. So you kind of have to have a little bit of shmoney if you want to invest in this. Now, of course, benefits include hydration, tailored combos, clear skin, hydration, obviously increased energy levels, replenishing, why can't I speak today? Replenishing your vitamins and minerals, and you could get a tailored combo. Who doesn't like that? Now, of course, with all the benefits, there's always going to be side effects. And I will say what's interesting with this, out of every video that I've ever done on this channel regarding scams, especially when it comes to the beauty space, is that with this in particular, it was super duper difficult to find people that were passing away from this, even though there's a good amount of people who have. And it was hard to find anyone actually saying that this actually works unless A, we're the ones doing the services, or B, we're the people benefiting from the service. And if they were to admit it was a scam, would have to admit that they tossed away hundreds, honestly, thousands of dollars. But other than that, like, I literally had to dig. Like, it was insane. It was like, why? And I genuinely feel like a lot of these medical professionals, especially the ones that run these services, are trying to hide the fact that this can be insanely dangerous. So what do I mean by extremely dangerous? Side effects and risks include infection and phlebitis, allergic and adverse reactions, kidney overload, fats, vitamin toxicity, electrolyte imbalance, false sense of security, because obviously we know that these are very, very temporary effects. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. Cost and regulation, obviously, because this is not cheap. And there's no evidence that proves this is good for overall general wellness. So let me just get into that last point real quick. A lot of people don't understand that IVs are definitely going to work in a general sense, right? When you go to the hospital, what's the first thing that they do? An IV drip. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel way better just at the fact that you're getting water in your body, okay? You're getting saline. You're going to feel better. But what happens when you overload your body with a bunch of vitamins and minerals? Because I will say the general consensus, even for me, is that it's a vitamin. What's the worst that can happen?
Do you need IV therapy or IV hydration? These centers are popping up left and right, offering a cocktail of normal saline, oftentimes with vitamins, minerals, sometimes nausea medications, sometimes pain medications in the form of an IV. They often tout that you will get more energy. It might be a hangover cure. It's a way to get vitamins, a way to get hydrated. But do you need these? My feeling is if you need an IV, you probably need the hospital or a medical facility, okay? Because that's the sphere in which I work at. Now, the other thing I will say is when it comes to getting hydrated, yes, you will get hydrated through IV fluids, if normal saline, etc. Absolutely. But if you are healthy underlying, you can eat and drink by mouth. You can get hydration by eating and drinking. For the centers that are offering pain meds and nausea medications, guys, you can go over the counter and buy those on your own.
These drip bars have been popping up all over the USA, and if you've never been, I'm sure you've at least heard of them. Some offer just normal fluid hydration, whereas others will infuse their IVs with vitamins like B complex vitamins and vitamin C and a lot of others. They're claiming to be instant hangover cures, or they claim to boost immunity, or they claim to even delay aging. So with claims like that, shouldn't you be routinely going to these? No. Everything about these places is a scam. As long as you're able to eat and drink normal and you don't have a malabsorptive disorder, oral hydration is going to be just as good as IV hydration. Oral diet is going to be just as good as getting some nutrients through an IV. As for the vitamins and other things they're infusing, only a minuscule amount of those is needed by your body, and again can be got from your diet. These places tend to infuse very high doses of this stuff, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay around for longer. All that's going to happen is your body's going to take what it needs and it's going to pee out the rest. So really, it's useless. And of course, don't forget that IVs are invasive. Veins can blow, clots can form, infection can sit in. It's just unnecessary risk that you don't need to take.
Why IV vitamin C is a big no. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Johnson. I just saw this come across one of the comments, and I've seen it a few times before, so I thought I'd address it in a video. IV vitamin C is not vitamin C. It's ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is high fructose corn syrup and HCl, hydrochloric acid. That's not vitamin C, folks. So ascorbic acid is actually toxic to your system. So why would you want to put it directly into your bloodstream? And I know some of you, I've had IV vitamin C. I feel fantastic. Yeah, okay, great. But long term, it's one of the worst things for your kidneys and your liver.
My problem with all of these IV therapy clinics is that it's bullshit and it's a scam.
Well, I think scam is a very, very harsh word to use in terms of this very, very common treatment. When I was in medical school, probably like this doctor, I was taught that IV nutrients or that minerals and nutrients in general were not something we needed to add into our diet to make us healthier. We've learned throughout the years, though, that that is completely wrong. Most of us are deficient in magnesium. Most of us do not have enough antioxidants in our diet, and most of us are deficient in things like folate. All of those things potentially can be gained through oral supplementation, but sometimes that's not enough, and people feel a whole lot better with some IV nutrition.
That's the big deal. Until you really start looking into what vitamins do, what your body does, what organs you have for what, you start really looking at these things that are pushed to you and think to yourself, wow, they really are trying to take our money. For example, and I'm going to do separate videos on certain things that I'm about to mention. We have these flat belly teas, right? And these detox cleanses. You have a kidney and a liver for a reason. 9 times out of 10, not even 10 times out of 10, unless you have some severe disability, which in most cases, they more than likely wouldn't even give you an IV, or you are severely deficient, you would not be needing any of these things. But a lot of people swear by this stuff, right? They say it makes them feel better, it saved their life, whatever the case may be. But unfortunately, just due to my research, I realized that a lot of this can be a genuine placebo. What happens when you even take a multivitamin orally, if your body does not need it, you pass it on through. Or if you overload yourself enough, you literally might get severely sick, or worse, you can lose your life. There have been reports of people losing their lives by going to IV drip bars, Medspas, all types of stuff.
All right, so what do you need to know about IV therapy? There was a death last year in Texas, and it has changed some laws in Arizona. So last year, sadly, a mother went in for an IV and was treated by a non-medical provider. She owned the Medspa. She had a medical director, and they didn't really have like an official documented agreement. There was no policies and procedures in place. So all of these things are important. This is why I'm really selective on who I choose to be medical director for, because I'm really good about having all those things in place. And that is required. If a med spa has a medical director, they are responsible for providing those policies and procedures. So that didn't happen. And so now there are some laws in place in Arizona as well. And now you actually do have to have an exam by a medical provider. And that means somebody with prescriptive authority. So not just a nurse. So an NPPA or a physician needs to have a good faith exam before you can get an IV. So after this happened, I had tons of IV therapy places reaching out to me asking to be their medical director, because obviously a lot of ethical medical directors were not going to sign off on IVs anymore. So there are still tons of places out there that have unlicensed people or even RNs providing the IVs. RNs can provide the IVs, but now a good faith exam does have to be done by somebody with prescriptive authority. So these are things that you should be asking, if they're licensed and who their medical director is. Do they have policies and procedures in place? Are they trained to do these things? It's really important and scary until you ask these questions and find out. I'm sure this mother unfortunately didn't know that a non-licensed person would be administering her IV.
Including this clip because I know there's people that are like, oh, well, see, that's why I stick to the packets. That's why I only drink this, da-da-da. A lot of y'all don't need that shit. You do not need liquid IV. That shit can also kill you. You should not be over vitaminized. You shouldn't be taking too many vitamins that you know you don't need.
This lady took too much liquid IV. Know what you're taking? Know why you're taking it. This lady drank 3 liquid IVs every day for 2 months. Her daughter said that she could literally hear the fluid when she was breathing in and out. Abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting. Why would this happen? Liquid IV has 500 milligrams of salt. You use 3 a day, that's 1,500 milligrams. That is a day's worth of salt. Mind you, this is just in electrolytes. This is not in food. Given her sedentary nature, she probably was not burning through those electrolytes like many people who really are supposed to drink them do. For example, they work outside, they're sweating a lot, or they work out and train a lot and they sweat a lot, or they have a condition called POTS, or for someone who is otherwise mineral depleted for whatever reason. If none of that sounds like you, there is no reason to be downing liquid IV like your life depends on it. Most Americans are sitting down all the time. Most Americans already overconsume salt. I also want to point out that liquid IV is rich in vitamin B6. Unlike other B vitamins like B12 that just come right back out in your urine and you really don't have to worry about toxicity, you do for B6. I have absolutely seen people get vitamin B6 toxicity. It's to my knowledge that this woman is now home, recovering, and is good to go, so I love it, but please let this be a reminder to be safe.
What up, Nurse Gang? What up, TikTok? So today on Doctors in the News, headline reads, Woman's death after IV therapy leads to license suspension for Frisco anesthesiologist. Board documents say that Dr. Michael Patrick Gallagher was the medical director of a med spa where a patient died after the spa's owner administered an IV therapy for which she didn't have a license. A hot thing right now is med spas. And doctors just signing on to be the medical director, making cold hard cash, but not knowing what's truly going on in those spas. And now losing licenses because of it. Very dangerous. Let's take a deeper look into it. The Texas Medical Board suspended Frisco anesthesiologist Dr. Michael Gallagher after a mother of 4 died in July at a med spa for which he was the medical director. She died after receiving an IV treatment administered by the non-licensed owner of the business. Gallagher is the medical director for Lux Med Spa in, don't kill me guys, Wortham, Texas, which opened in May and is owned by Amber Johnson. It is 106 miles south of his official practice address in Frisco, Texas. Partners Healthcare Group is the name of his business. Gallagher is not listed on the website for the pain management practice. According to the board documents, the spa did not have protocols or policies related to the staff's administration of IV therapy, and what protocols did exist were used to vaguely inform Lux's patients of the IV therapy process. The only indication of a deal between Gallagher and the practice is an unsigned agreement between him and Johnson. The board alleges that there were no licensed medical staff or experienced personnel on site while IV therapy was being administered at Lux, and says that Gallagher was only on site for the grand opening in May, once more in June, and on the day of the patient's death, checking on that license, in July. Gallagher allegedly failed to supervise Johnson, who did not have a license to administer IV therapy or prescription pharmaceutical solutions. The treatment Cleveland received before dying included vitamin B complex, vitamin B12, TPN electrolytes, and vitamin C. TPN electrolyte solution requires a prescription and is known to cause complications.
We're learning new details about Jennifer Cleveland, the woman who died at the Lux Med Spa in Wortham back in July. According to the final autopsy report, the administration of IV therapy can't be ruled in or out as a contributing factor at this time. News 10's Alex Fulton is here in studio. Alex, what else did you learn?
Gordon, Jennifer Cleveland's death raised a lot of questions about what happened at the Lux Med Spa and what ultimately led to her passing. Here in the last couple hours, though, we just learned that her heart stopped, but it's unclear what caused that to happen. Before her passing, Cleveland also had been receiving weekly IV infusions, according to the autopsy report. This all comes as other new details have surfaced recently.
When you get that call, you don't believe it?
When Jennifer Cleveland passed away in July, Buzz Russell says his entire staff at the KNES Texas 99.1 radio station were in disbelief.
It was something that seemed so average and everyday type activity, certainly in these times.
Cleveland worked in sales at the station and died after receiving an IV treatment at the Lux Med Spa in Wortham.
I think she had a real connection to people, and that was her biggest benefit, I guess.
The Texas Medical Board has since suspended the medical license of Michael Gallagher, who was the medical director at the spa. According to a report from the board, Cleveland received an IV with vitamin B complex, a solution that requires a prescription and is known to cause complications. Dr. Amy Merziowski with Texas A&M Central Texas says patients should understand what's inside their IV and research the physician's medical background beforehand.
Medications and fluids should really be provided by someone with a license and the training to understand fluid and electrolyte balance, infection, safety with IV fluids.
Back at the radio station, her former boss says the suspension of Gallagher's medical license is just the start of closure for him.
This is the beginning step in the healing process. I think it's what a lot of people felt should happen.
I want to note that Gallagher didn't administer the IV on Cleveland, but was at the Medspas the day she died. According to the Texas Medical Board, Amber Johnson, the spa's owner, performed the procedure, and at the time, she didn't have a medical license. Reporting in studio, Alex Fulton, KWTX.
Whoa, listen, this is heavy. You know, rest in peace to the patient that lost her life in this situation. Vet your IV therapy, hydration clinics, and specialists. Listen, med spas are a hot topic right now. They're a hot topic right now. Doctors want a piece of the pie too. Doctors know they can easily sign on to be someone's medical director and easily be making 20 bands a month. But you're not watching what's going on, and now you lost your license based on something you didn't do with your own hands. Let's talk about it.
So you guys are probably wondering, like, why was you about to get some vitamin infusions or whatever? Like, what was it? Like, and what made you not do it? So let me just tell y'all, right? I have nurse, doctor, and scientist friends, right? And it's funny because there was times where I would mention to them, like, hey, I really want to get some vitamin infusion or whatever. And they looking at me like, for what? Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. And I never understood why. And I never looked too deep into it until I started working on this video. And I was like, wow, they really saved my life. Like, even though a lot of them didn't go into too much detail, they kind of just looked at me like, Ivana, like, don't even do it. Now, if you guys are not aware, I'm a dance teacher as well as a Zumba instructor. Like, I'm very active, but I'm nowhere near as active enough to need all of this stuff. Okay, like, none of this is really, really necessary. And I realized, like, especially when I started taking my health seriously, a lot of my issues are attributed to the fact that I do not drink enough water. Let me drink my water right now. And I'm sure a lot of your issues are probably attributed to the fact that you don't drink enough water. You ever see those memes where they're like, oh, when my girlfriend says she has a headache, or my girlfriend says she's not feeling well, and it's always attributed to the fact that we're not drinking enough water? Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm very guilty of that. And I will say the times where I'm drinking way more water than I usually do are the days I feel phenomenal. But there's times I know for a fact, there's days I don't drink empty water and I feel like shit. I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I need to do this. I need to get my blah, 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 blah together. I need to have this. And then I start thinking to myself, Ivana, you had one bottle of water. Your body is probably starving for some sort of hydration. And a lot of times, and I'm not saying this is you, it might be you, but the point is there's a lot of times where we could just do one quick little thing and it will end up changing our lives. But what happens is we let all these people and media and society sell us into things that we don't need, from plastic surgery to flat tummy teas and vitamin infusions. 99% of us do not need this. You only need this if you really do have a true problem that really inhibits you to get this. And of course, if your primary doctor says so. Now, it's very funny because nowadays, it's so easy to go to a doctor now. Like, you can get virtual visits from Amazon now to get certain prescriptions. It's really funny because now it's so easy to go to the doctor and spend so much money on nonsense these days that it's like, I understand y'all don't trust doctors, but at the same time, when you're doing something like this, something like a vitamin drip, literally where you're letting a needle go inside you, okay, any which way, that's not in a professional setting, you need to make sure you know exactly what you're doing. You should be going to your doctor and running a full blood panel to see if you even need this, because a lot of times you don't. And I just told you, I don't even drink water. The only thing I know I'm deficient in for real, is vitamin D. Okay, so I know for a fact if I ever go somewhere and they try to tell me like you're vitamin D deficient, da 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 da, get a vitamin D drip, maybe, but I still wouldn't do that. Okay, I'll drink some milk, and I know for a fact my vitamin D deficiency comes from A, I hate being outside in the sun, and B, I stopped drinking real milk. Like I started drinking almond milk and a lot of as opposed to real milk. So it was one of those things where like I kind of knew that, but at one point I wanted to get vitamin B shots because I felt low energy or whatever, and I got one time, and I felt good, but it kind of just wore off, and I just kind of got turned off to the idea that I had to come every month to my doctor's office to get vitamin B shots. Like, don't nobody got time for that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna eat better. I'm not like, I hate commitment to things. Like I just can't. Like, I don't like committing to long-term treatments. It's just too much for me. I'd rather just do the natural route. Like, I don't got time. And then when I started looking into this, I was like, oh my God. But the thing is, I got a vitamin B shot. I didn't get an infusion. It's not the same thing. I'll put the differences here on the screen. But ultimately, I really want you guys to be very, very careful, because when it comes to these IV drip bars and these med spas, a lot of them have been popping up everywhere, and a lot of them are not legally operating. Okay, did you hear what I said? A lot of them are not legally operating. A lot of us feel attracted to these places because they look good, they have an aesthetic, they have a smiling staff. But what can really happen to you is very, very dire. Like, you can literally lose your life from going to these med spas. A lot of the times, and unfortunately in a lot of different states, there is no real regulation for these IV drip bars in these med spas. That's why a lot of them are getting away with doing so much that they shouldn't be doing, but most importantly, taking people's lives and not being held accountable for it. There is so much that goes into opening a med spa and an IV drip bar. But what's even crazier is, even after all of that stuff that they have to do to be open, there is so much that is not even addressed that is leading to a lot of people genuinely getting hurt. Of course, we have people that are not licensed to be working in these places, which 9 times out of 10 is a recipe for disaster. I don't even have to mention that. The art of putting in an IV is extremely intricate. Like, I always thought that putting in an IV was 2-second work. Like, I always thought it was something that like really wasn't that deep until I looked into it, and I was like, oh, the whole thing, like, oh wow, like you gotta actually be careful putting these things in. I don't know why I never thought about it, but there's a lot that goes into it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of nurses out there, okay? Full-fledged nurses that really don't know how to do that right. You ever been to a doctor's office or been to a hospital and these people can't even do the shit right? They got to stick you like 10 times. So can you imagine a registered nurse, okay, that works at a real hospital, can't even put your IV in, but you're trusting niggas at a med spa?
So this was a video I was taking when I was still really practicing my IVs, and this is a perfect demonstration of a blown vein. I don't think I ever really saw one of those until it happened to me, but blown veins can be very common when you're getting blood draws or trying to do IV catheters. So here I'm trying my best to advance the catheter, and there's just a lot of resistance, and at this point the vein is already blown. You can kind of already see it at the insertion point. So I was excited because I got flashback, but again couldn't really advance the catheter. So I wanted everyone to see that this does happen. I wanted new nurses to see what this looks like, or if you're in nursing school and they refer to blown veins, this is exactly what it would look like. And even if you get flash, you still might run into some issues. I think here I should have inserted the needle a little further, but this is what everything looked like afterwards. So now you know.
Like, you're trusting niggas in like this cutesy place that isn't properly sanitized or properly ventilated, probably don't even have FDA regulated vitamins, and they putting it inside you. They don't know how to put the needle in you. Like, I really started thinking after this, like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And you know what's really funny, right? I had a friend, right? She's a nurse. She's a real RN. We went to school at the same time. And I was at a doctor's house. Like, she has a friend that's a doctor, and she has a med spa. Is it legally regulated? I don't know, but now I'm going to look into that shit. And I don't care if you're watching this and you feel some type of way. I got to make sure people is safe. You feel me? But that's not the point. So I go over there because, long story short, it was to sign a contract for social media services, right? And literally, she was talking about how she wants to start doing IV drips, vitamin drips or whatever. And they offered to do it in their house, like in the girl's house. It was at the doctor's house. And I was like, no, should we be at a doctor's office for that? Or like, you know, she's like, oh no, this is the doctor. Oh no, it's fine. We can do it right here in the living room. Case in point, a lot of the people that be out here tooting this shit are people that are in this business. Because any other friend I knew that was a nurse, a doctor, or a scientist was like, bitch, for what? You don't need it. Just eat your beef. Eat your veggies. And I'm looking looking at her and I'm looking at this doctor like, y'all dead ass about to do this shit in your living room. And what was crazier is the doctor just moved and has a toddler. Okay. And you know, toddlers are dirty. Okay. I love kids. I work with kids, but I know how solid they are. I know how dirty they are. So you got a kid in this house. One, you just moved. Dust everywhere. This is a brand new apartment. Particles of whatever the fuck is in the air from the paint, the construction, and all of that. And then you talking about fucking an IV in my arm. Don't play with me. It's crazy because I probably would have sat there and did that shit. And I know there's probably some people like, oh, it's not that. No, it's that serious. I am about to try to entertain that. I'm not about to try to entertain that. It is that serious. You should not be getting anything injected into you in a place that is not a specifically medically, you know what I mean. If it ain't a medical space, okay, and it's not properly ventilated and it's not properly prepped and sanitized, you should not be getting anything done. Like when I'm telling you, I'm seeing videos of girls getting their eyebrows done and getting IV drip. Like what the, y'all think this shit a game? Like this is what really scared me, okay? I saw this girl's story and I kind of just tucked it in the back of my head, but then I started doing research for this video again and I came across it and I was just like, ain't no way. I'm going to link this interview. So this is going to be an extremely long clip, okay? And I really want you guys to check her out as well as check out her story because this is serious and it can happen to anyone. I'm going to link everything down below. I want you guys to follow her because this is not a game. This is not a joke. Like this is some serious shit right now. Like, child, like what this girl went through is insane. And there's so many other people that have gone through it but are afraid to speak out because they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to feel some type of way. But it's like, no, these stories are genuinely important.
Bia Alma is a 26-year-old social media creator who has a story the world needs to hear. Being a young woman who cared about her fitness and image, she was sold on the idea of looking fitter and having more energy by getting B12 and fat dissolving shots at a local Medspas in California. Little did she know, she would wind up becoming infected with the rare, drug-resistant, skin-destroying mycobacteria, leading to a 3-year medical journey that is still ongoing.
In April, I was 23. I wanted to go get B12 injections as like an early birthday gift to myself. I was new to Los Angeles and I was working a lot. I was like, well, I've gotten B12 shots before, helps with energy. And this place in specific that reached out to me on Instagram was like, oh yeah, we have this amazing compound of B12 and deoxycholic acid.
And you know, if I was to give advice to a patient and they would ask me if they should get hormones tested, if they should be taking these medications, my advice would always be, unless medically necessary, more intervention is not better than appropriate intervention. And I think that theory for me holds true for supplements as well. A lot of people ask me questions like, is vitamin C important? Is vitamin D important? The answer is absolutely yes. Mm-hmm. These are very vital for you to live a healthy life. The real question should be, is having more of those supplements better?
Yeah.
And we don't see that. In fact, when we see things trying to be hyper optimized, we just end up seeing the backflow or the negative effects of supplements, treatments, et cetera. So that's why my general prerogative in healthcare and seeing how things can go wrong, try and do less intervention unless we absolutely need it.
But the fact that it was literally throughout my entire body and channels developed where I was injected, it obviously shows like the vial itself had to have been contaminated to have this much mycobacterium. And they were like, well, it's not necrosis. We don't know what to do to you. You're going to have to go to a dermatologist. So
and at that point you had what symptoms?
Oh, my skin was bursting open. So this is what happened. Within 48 hours, where I was injected started blowing up like these nodules, this like very red inflamed tissue. And then it started hardening and hardening and hardening. Then came like this burning sensation. So I would actually feel like this throbbing and then kind of like contractions because my skin was literally preparing to open. And so it was like the thinning of the skin and spreading. It was like fire throughout my body. It was absolutely excruciating. I thought I had necrosis because that's the only thing I knew that existed.
And did you contact the place where you did that?
Oh yeah, of course.
So what did they say?
They didn't want to respond to me. It took them days for them to respond to me. Then they started cussing me out, telling me I was a pain in their ass. Good luck suing us. We don't owe you anything. This is your fault. Your body's having an allergic reaction. This has nothing to do with us.
So they weren't interested in helping or giving you guidance on what to do?
No. Literally, the owner of the business was like, I would like to meet up with you in person, and I want you to sign this document saying that you're not going to sue us. Matter of fact, I want to see your body. We're at a public Starbucks. And she was like, I want to see your body. Take off your cardigan. And I have open flesh, like, at this point. Like, this is only, like, 10 days later or something. I have open flesh throughout my body. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, do you hear how you're talking to me? And she's like, I don't even know if those pictures were real. I have no idea if you're faking all of this. And I was like, you're kidding. Like, I've sent her multiple pictures of what's happening and everything. And then she starts cussing me out. She's like, you've been nothing but a pain in my ass. She was like, good luck suing me. My husband's an attorney, just saying like all this stuff. And I just handed her the papers. I was like, you know what? You have a lot of hell coming your way. Unfortunately, that hell hasn't came yet.
The pictures made me crawl, okay? They made my locks unravel, okay? I felt crazy. I was like, there's no way. Bacteria. Okay, bacteria in one of the vials did this. This girl was in the hospital for months. This girl was practically fighting for her life, all because she wanted to look good, all because she was trying to chase something that was not attainable, all because, unfortunately, she didn't do her due diligence. And I don't want any of you guys to go through that. I want you guys to only do these things, A, if it's for you, B, if you've done your research, and C, if it is with someone that is properly licensed. I hope you guys understand, because child, I had to take a shower after seeing a lot of these clips and shit, because this is like really, really bad. So here's some key takeaways. Again, do your research. Make sure you're getting enough vitamins and minerals through your food. Unless you are on a chicken shack and pizza empanada diet, there's no reason why you should be telling me you're not getting enough vitamins and minerals on your day-to-day. Screening matters. Go to your PCP and make sure you're getting a full blood panel. You should not be going to these places without doing thorough tests, assessing if this is for you. And I guarantee you, if you go to a real doctor for real, and the doctor actually cares about you and cares about treating people, they would probably tell you this is not for you. All right. Choose reputable places. I'm gonna say this again. Choose reputable places. I just think a lot of you guys haven't heard me. Choose reputable places. Make sure everybody is licensed. And also make sure there is emergency equipment on site, because there are times where people are good candidates for this, but they still pass away or end up having very, very bad adverse reactions. For most people, all you need is a balanced diet and maybe a little multivitamin. And sometimes you're pooping and peeing all of that extra stuff out anyway. Remember, your body's always going to take what it needs and then dispose what it doesn't. And a lot of times there's people out here paying hundreds to thousands of dollars for these services, and their body does not need it. With that being said, I want to hear your comments and questions down below. Have you ever went to a drip bar? How did it make you feel? And most importantly, do you know anyone that has been negatively affected, or have you been negatively affected from IV drip bars or vitamin infusions? With that being said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. For more support, please join my Patreon or join the memberships on this channel. Check out my other videos on my other channels, again, linked down below. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna see y'all next time.